Alright people, Catfish Dave here. We're going to talk about a tape net, what it's used for. I'm going to go out in the yard and show you how to throw it, and then we're going to go out on the river and do an actual demonstration of it. A tape net is designed for deep water. It has about a 3-inch strip of tape around the edge of it. What happens is when you throw that net, that tape guides the outside of the net outwards. With a regular cast net, when you throw it into deep water, the way it is designed, those weights are sinking fast, the top of the net is dragging, and as that cast net gets deeper and deeper and deeper, the opening that you had when it hit the water is getting smaller and smaller and smaller as it is falling to the bottom. This is what happens when you start throwing in over 20 foot of water. Regular cast nets are best in 20 foot of water or less, very shallow water. But when you start getting in water over 20 foot, you want a tape net. That tape spreads the net out. The deeper you go, the farther it pulls it wide. The tape net is a very slow sinking net, much slower than a regular cast net. That tape drags the water, and when you're throwing in deep water, it can take over a minute for that thing to actually hit the bottom. When it does hit the bottom, it's at full circle. It is also harder to pull back up out of the water because of that tape. It's catching water as you're trying to pull. An empty tape net feels like it's full of bait when it's not because of that drag. So you only want to throw a tape net when you're absolutely sure you're over the bait. It's not something you want to throw all day long and just hope for the best. You want to see that bait on your sonar. It preferably needs to be large packed schools of bait, and then you're going to have a good day with a tape net. Let's go out in the yard. I use a one-handed style because throwing out of my boat, I have these really high walls, and with the camera and stuff behind me, I can't even throw out the side. The net will end up hitting the camera, so I have to throw over these rod holders. So I'm using a one-handed style of a throw here. The net I've got here is a 10-foot Phytech Super Spreader tape net. It has 50 foot of hand line on it. Your typical nets only have 15 to 25 foot on it. I start coiling the net up like you would a rope or extension cord. Grab the net by the top, the part they call the horn. You extend the net out, get the braille lines nice and straight. Make sure none of the leads are tangled up around any of the braille lines. Now this net's 10 foot long, so I'm going to grab it at the top and I'm going to form a loop to get it where there's about 3.5 foot of net, 4 foot of net hanging down. I'm now going to take my left hand and start dividing the net, and I'm going to pull approximately 70% of that net into my left hand. Now I'm going to take that cluster of net that's in my left hand and I'm going to flop it over into my right hand. I'm going to reach down, grab the lead line, pull it up into my thumb. Now I'm going to reach down again, about arm's length, and grab some more lead line. Now I'm going to throw. Now the net did not open up perfectly because I'm throwing into the wind here, but the beauty of a tape net is it does not have to open up perfectly, because if you get it opened at all, the deeper it goes, that tape opens the net up for you. So that's actually a great throw for a tape net over deep water. I'll try one more throw. Not bad out there in the wind. Either way, that works. The tape will spread the net. Everything will be fine. Now let's go out into the river. I got my down scan on because I'm in deep water here, and the bait at this time is right out in the middle of the channel. We're in about 40 to 45 foot of water out here. I spot my bait and I go ahead and get my net loaded up. Now the wind has blew me off my course, blew me off of the bait. So now with the net ready to go in my right hand, I've got the motor back in reverse, trying to get back to that spot where I located the bait. Once I see the bait again on my depth finder, I go ahead and make my throw. As soon as I make my throw, the wind is starting to push me away from my spot. It's going to take a good minute or so for this net to sink that deep in the water. So now I've got my motor in reverse. Be careful when you do this not to get the rope of that net in the prop of your motor. That can happen. I've done it. You have to stay right over the top of that net, because if that wind pushes my boat away from the spot and tightens that rope up, my net's going to close up before it hits the bottom. So I'm trying to stay right over where I threw the net. It's a bit of a job to do by yourself out there in the wind, but we're getting it done. I patiently wait till I know the net is on the bottom, and now we start pulling. Got about 50 of them. I got a couple bags. I'm going to throw the rest back in, hope they live. We got shad everywhere. These nets work best in reservoirs, slacker water. A tape net, due to it sinking very slowly, you don't want to throw it in a heavy current, because you're going to throw that net and it's going to be 100 yards off your target, getting pushed by that current before it ever hits the bottom. So they're best in slacker water, lakes, slower rivers, reservoir situations. Either way, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. This is Catfish Dave with another one. See y'all in the next one.